Move away.
Jake Lonergan.
You mind following me over to the office so we can have us a little chat?
Wouldn't do that if I was you.
The film opens on a harsh, desolate landscape where a man suddenly awakens, clearly injured and disoriented. He has a deep wound in his side and a mysterious metal device locked around his left wrist. Nearby on the ground lies a photograph of a woman, suggesting a connection he can't yet understand. As he struggles to his feet, 3 men on horseback approach him along with a dog. They attempt to capture him, but he reacts purely on instinct. In a swift and brutal fight, he kills all 3 attackers, takes clothing from one of them, mounts a horse, and rides away with the dog trailing behind him. His identity and past remain a complete mystery. He eventually arrives at a small frontier town and enters what appears to be an abandoned building. Suddenly, a man named Meacham confronts him at gunpoint and takes his weapon. When Meacham asks for his name, the stranger realizes he can't remember it. It becomes clear that he has lost his memory entirely. Meacham has him lie down on a table and carefully stitches up his wound, introducing himself as the town's preacher as he works. Their calm is interrupted when a gunshot blasts through the window. Both men step outside to find a reckless young cowboy named Percy firing wildly into the street. The saloon owner, Doc, and his wife Maria rush outside, with Doc angrily confronting Percy for his dangerous behavior and for constantly skipping out on paying his bar tab. Percy mocks him, calling him closer and knocking his glasses onto the ground in a humiliating display. Before the situation escalates further, Meacham calmly steps in, retrieves Doc's fallen glasses, and helps him back up. Percy finds the entire thing amusing and sarcastically starts collecting money for Doc. When he approaches the stranger in an aggressive manner, the man reacts instantly, kneeing Percy hard and sending him doubling over in pain before shoving him to the ground and walking away without another word. From a nearby alley, a woman named Ella watches the scene closely, noting the stranger's skill and restraint. Humiliated and furious, Percy pulls out his gun and threatens to shoot, but instead fires recklessly and strikes a deputy in the shoulder. At that moment, Sheriff John Taggart rides into town and puts an immediate stop to the chaos. Declaring that Percy has finally crossed the line, Taggart arrests him and throws him in jail. Nat, a Native American who works for Percy's powerful father, promises to report the incident. The story then cuts away to a quiet cattle camp where 3 men sit drinking coffee near a fire. One of them, Roy, walks to the river to relieve himself when a sudden, violent explosion throws him into the water. When he crawls back out, he finds the other men dead, the cattle slaughtered, and the surrounding land engulfed in flames. Back in town, Sheriff Taggart prepares to send Percy to Santa Fe for trial. While going through paperwork, he notices a wanted poster and finally identifies the stranger as Jake Lonergan. Later, inside the saloon, Jake sits drinking whiskey when Ella approaches and questions him about the strange device on his wrist. Taggart and his deputies arrive and order Jake to come with them. When one man draws a gun, Jake swiftly disarms everyone without firing a single shot. Just as he regains control of the situation, Ella strikes him from behind, knocking him unconscious. While unconscious, Jake experiences disturbing visions. He sees a small, isolated cabin and a woman he instinctively recognizes as his wife, Alice. The images flash rapidly. Gold coins spread across a table, a terrifying alien creature, and groups of people staring upward as if hypnotized. Jake suddenly wakes to find himself locked in a jail cell beside Percy. Percy rambles aimlessly, mocking him until Jake loses patience and knocks him unconscious with a single blow. Elsewhere, at the destroyed cattle camp, a powerful rancher named Woodrow Dollarhide interrogates Roy, demanding to know what happened to his men and livestock. Roy struggles to explain the devastation. Nat arrives with another rider and informs Woodrow that Percy has been arrested in town. Furious and unmoved, Woodrow orders Roy tied to a horse and dragged away into the darkness as punishment. Woodrow then gathers his men and rides toward town to reclaim his son. Back at the jail, Sheriff Taggart loads Jake and Percy into a wagon bound for Santa Fe. Before departure, Ella approaches Jake through the bars, trying to speak with him, but he coldly tells her to leave. Just then, Woodrow and his men ride in, demanding Percy's release. Before the confrontation can escalate, strange glowing lights suddenly appear in the sky. The lights descend rapidly, revealing alien spacecraft that begin attacking the town. Buildings are torn apart, cables shoot down from the ships, and people are yanked screaming into the air. Jake's bracelet suddenly comes alive, glowing and vibrating. Maria is captured before Doc's eyes, and Taggart himself is pulled into the sky. As chaos erupts, Jake raises his wrist and fires the bracelet, blasting the back of the wagon open and escaping. Woodrow frees Percy, but moments later, Percy is seized by a cable and dragged into the spacecraft. As one of the ships turns back, Jake aims the bracelet and fires, shooting it down in a fiery crash outside town. Jake and Woodrow cautiously move toward the wreckage of the downed spacecraft, weapons ready, but when they reach it, they find the interior completely empty. Their search is interrupted by a woman's scream nearby, drawing them toward a nearby building. Inside, they glimpse a strange, fast-moving shape darting past a window. Nat examines the ground and discovers unfamiliar tracks, confirming that one of the creatures is still loose. Woodrow urges Jake to help him track the alien and rescue the captives, but Jake refuses and rides away, unwilling to get involved. By morning, Jake is already heading out of town when Ella quietly follows him. Meanwhile, back in town, Meacham delivers a sermon to the shaken survivors as Doc works tirelessly to treat the injured. Jake eventually catches up to Ella and forcibly pulls her from her horse, demanding to know why she won't stop following him. At the same time, Woodrow gathers his men and prepares a search party to hunt down the aliens. Doc insists on joining them to find Maria, and Emmett rides along with the dog close behind. Jake rides alone to a small, isolated cabin with a massive hole torn through the roof. Inside, memories flood back. He recalls showing his wife gold coins moments before a beam of light tore through the roof and abducted her. Shaken, Jake rides away from the cabin. Not long after, Woodrow's group catches up, and Jake silently turns around and joins them. As night falls and rain pours down, the group takes shelter inside an overturned riverboat. Tensions rise as Woodrow speaks harshly to Nat. Nearby, Meacham teaches Doc how to handle a rifle. Jake speaks quietly with Ella when his bracelet suddenly begins to glow, signaling danger. Without warning, an alien bursts into the camp and attacks. Emmett hides as chaos erupts. Meacham fires at the creature, but is overpowered and killed while trying to protect the boy. By morning, Nat once again discovers fresh alien tracks. After laying Meacham to rest, the group sets out, following the trail into a narrow canyon. Suddenly, armed men emerge from hiding and surround them. One of the attackers, a man named Hunt, recognizes Jake and calls him their former leader. Realizing his memory is returning in fragments, Jake plays along, acting as though he is fully aware of the situation. They are taken back to the outlaw camp, where a man named Pat declares that he now runs the gang. Pat humiliates and beats Jake in front of the others, believing him powerless. Without warning, Jake activates the bracelet and fires, killing Pat instantly. He orders the gang to drop their weapons, and he and Woodrow ride away as the bandits give chase. Their pursuit is cut short when alien spacecraft descend and massacre the gang, allowing Jake and the others to escape. As they flee, one of the ships fires a cable that snatches Ella into the air. Jake immediately rides after it, leaping onto the damaged craft as it flies low through a canyon. Over a lake, Jake fires the bracelet into the ship, causing it to crash into the water. An alien emerges and violently throws Ella aside, but Jake quickly turns and kills it with the bracelet. Ella is gravely injured. Moments later, Woodrow and the others arrive. Before they can react, a group of Indians surrounds them and takes them captive. The group is taken to the Indian village where the tribe places Ella's seemingly lifeless body, wrapped in cloth, onto a massive funeral fire. Woodrow angrily protests, arguing with the chief when suddenly the flames surge higher. To everyone's shock, Ella emerges from the fire completely unharmed. Jake rushes forward and wraps her in a blanket, stunned by what he's witnessing. Later that night, everyone gathers around the fire as Ella speaks fluently in the tribe's language. She explains to the chief that she is not human and comes from a world beyond the stars. After hearing her story, the chief agrees that his people will join the fight against the aliens. Ella explains that Jake is the key to finding the alien stronghold, but Jake admits his memories are incomplete. The chief offers a solution and gives Jake a powerful medicinal mixture to restore his past. As the medicine takes effect, Jake's memories come flooding back. He remembers being held inside the alien mothership, watching helplessly as his wife was experimented on and ultimately killed. He recalls an alien implanting a device into his body, only for Jake to tear it out, slash the creature's face, steal the advanced bracelet weapon, and escape the ship. With his memories fully restored, Jake finally remembers the exact location of the alien mothership. Jake, Woodrow, Ella, and the Indian warriors travel together toward the location of the alien mothership. From a distance, they watch as two smaller spacecraft arrive and dock inside the massive structure. Seeing the scale of the enemy, it becomes clear that their current numbers are not enough to launch an attack. Without explaining himself, Jake suddenly rides away from the group, leading everyone to believe that he has abandoned them. Jake heads back to the outlaw camp, where Hunt and another gang member named Bull are arguing over stolen gold. Jake steps in and speaks to them with authority, convincing the gang to follow him one last time, not for money, but to fight the aliens. Reluctantly, the outlaws agree to join him. Back near the mothership, tensions rise when the Indian chief refuses to allow Woodrow to lead his warriors. Nat speaks up in Woodrow's defense, telling the chief that Woodrow is an honorable and capable fighter. Just then, Jake returns with his old gang riding behind him. Their arrival shifts the mood, as the combined forces now believe they finally stand a chance. That night, the Indian warriors perform a ceremonial war dance. Watching this, Woodrow begins to see Nat with new respect and understanding. Nearby, Ella quietly tells Jake that her time is running out and that she will not be around much longer. The two share an intimate moment together, knowing what lies ahead. By morning, the entire group mounts their horses and rides toward the alien mothership, fully prepared to face the final battle. As the attack begins, the Indian warriors take up strategic positions along the surrounding high ground, ready to strike from above. Below them, Jake leads Hunt, Bronk, and several others toward the base of the massive alien mothership. The three men climb the ship's exterior carrying dynamite. Once they reach the entrance, Jake lights the charges and throws them inside before they all rush back down just as the explosives detonate. Moments later, the blast forces the aliens out into the open, and they begin firing aggressively at the attackers. While the battle rages outside, Jake and Ella locate an alternate underground route leading into the mothership. Crawling through the tunnel, they discover the interior chambers where the aliens are harvesting gold and transferring it into their machinery. Back outside, Woodrow is knocked from his horse during the fight and is nearly killed until Nat intervenes, lassoing the alien and pulling it away. The creature overpowers Nat and fatally wounds him. Woodrow tries desperately to save him, but it is Doc who fires the final shot that kills the alien. With his last breath, Nat tells Woodrow that fighting beside him was always his dream. Moments later, the Indian chief rides into the battle and joins Woodrow. Side by side, they continue fighting through the alien forces, cutting down enemies as the chaos intensifies. Jake and Ella make their way deep inside the alien mothership, where they discover rows of human captives suspended in a hypnotic trance. Ella urgently warns Jake not to look directly into the blinding light above them, but he glances upward anyway. Acting quickly, Ella fires at a massive glowing structure, causing it to rupture and spill a strange liquid onto the floor. One by one, the captives awaken from their trance. As Ella works to free them, Jake holds off approaching aliens, using the bracelet to eliminate anyone who comes near. Outside the ship, Emmett is cornered by an alien but manages to stab and kill it, saving himself. Back inside, Ella tells Jake that all the prisoners have been released. Without warning, she turns and runs deeper into the mothership. Jake chases after her as she explains that the only way to destroy the ship is to take the bracelet to its core and detonate it from within. She removes the bracelet from Jake's wrist, reprograms it, and steps into a portal that he cannot enter, leaving him behind. Jake is immediately attacked by aliens but manages to escape. Inside the ship, Woodrow arrives just in time to save Jake from being killed. Together, they sabotage the gold extraction machinery, triggering explosions throughout the structure. They race toward the exit as the ship begins to collapse. Meanwhile, Ella reaches the heart of the mothership. Holding the bracelet against her chest, she activates it. High above the battlefield, the alien ship erupts into a massive explosion, lighting up the sky as it is completely destroyed. As the alien mothership erupts into a massive fireball in the sky, the Indians and former outlaws erupt in cheers. The captives begin reuniting with their loved ones. Emmett is reunited with his grandfather, the chief embraces his wife, Woodrow finds Percy alive, and Doc finally holds Maria again. Amid the joy and relief, Jake stands apart from the celebration, watching quietly as everyone else finds their way back to someone they love. Jake later returns to the small cabin where his life once changed forever. He places flowers inside to honor the memory of his wife. A hummingbird appears, hovering briefly before flying up through the hole in the roof and disappearing into the sky, as if offering a silent farewell. Jake mounts his horse and rides away alone once more. Back in town, the saloon is filled with laughter, music, and celebration as people drink, dance, and pay with gold recovered from the alien ship. Even Percy seems transformed, humbled by everything that has happened. Woodrow steps inside, calls Percy out, and announces that the next round of drinks is on him, drawing cheers from everyone inside. As the festivities continue, Jake rides into town one last time. Woodrow offers him a place at his side, but Jake respectfully turns him down. The two men share a quiet understanding before Jake turns his horse and rides out of town, continuing his journey alone. And that is how it ended. Make sure to like and subscribe for more videos like this. Thanks for watching.